Hi there. Welcome to the Goal Getter Podcast. We are so glad that you are here. I'm Lindsay, the dreamer and visionary of the business.
And I'm Jordan, the brains of the business, meaning I do all the back end stuff or anything that Lindsay doesn't like doing.
We're a husband and wife duo who took a leap of faith several years ago to embark on this permanent makeup business journey together.
We both worked unsuccessful and unfulfilling jobs before, and now we've turned our business into a thriving six-figure business.
They say you're meant to lead those who were once in your shoes, so that's what we're doing, navigating kids, homeschooling, business, and life together.
But this podcast is about more than just business and permanent makeup. It's about personal growth. We're here to help you conquer your goals, both in your business and in life.
And remember, growth begins when you get outside of your comfort zone.
Does all that sound good? Awesome. Let's dive on in. What's up, everybody? I am joined today by my lovely wife, Lindsay, here, and the kids have gone to bed. This is when we sometimes find our most solitude as parents. When the kids are down, they're quiet, no one's screaming mommy or daddy or needing anything, and we can get caught in our own thoughts sometimes and actually spend some time on our marriage.
Yeah, it's good to be on this podcast with you. You've been kind of jumping ahead and really getting ahead of me and creating some different podcasts. As Jordan has kind of said before, yeah, we have 3 kids. We homeschool. We're always on the go. And this is really like moments where, like Jordan said, it's just quiet. And so you'd think that we would want to relax and watch TV, and we do that sometimes. But in order for us to really prioritize and get things done, we have to find the quiet moments, and we have to record, edit, do email marketing, all those types of things when we don't have distractions. And that's kind of what we want to talk to you all about today, is prioritizing and getting things done and getting outside of your comfort zone to be able to, have a little bit more success or do the things that you really want to do in your business, but you keep just putting it off.
Yeah. So many times as an entrepreneur, since we wear so many hats and there's so many different things going on, from the phone calls and the incoming inquiries and taking care of the website and the graphics and all those things, they sometimes distract us from what actually is going to help us grow our business, or what's actually going to help us take that next step in our entrepreneurial journey. And so many times we're distracted. I know I am distracted a lot of times by just the stuff that I like to do, not necessarily anything that is going to generate more revenue or help us serve more people or help us get our name out there more, but sometimes just the fun stuff of like, oh, hey, I spent, an hour and a half on this graphic and maybe a couple hundred people are going to see it. So making sure that you're just prioritizing the things that actually matter is what we're going to dive in a little deeper on.
Yeah, and we've actually really had to, create some different words for ourselves in our marriage and in our business. And for me, I know I'm getting a little bit ahead here, but in 2024, I was telling Jordan, I really want our word to be discipline, because at this point in time, we have 3 kids, 7, 4, and 2, and our older 2 are pretty easy, although very needy, and our younger one is a little bit more of a wild card. We don't call her this to her face, but we actually call her Tornado, and we reference her that because she's a wrecking ball. Wherever she goes, everything is destroyed. And, so it's like, imagine working at home with 3 kids. Like I said, we homeschool. And so getting a lot of the things done that we want to get done is sometimes just seriously impossible. And we both get very frustrated, although we honestly wouldn't have it any other way. We love our kids to death, and we are very blessed. And that's a big part of one of our whys is being able to be present with our children and raise them in the way that we want to and teach them the things that we want to. But, we've actually had to, within the last few months here, we've implemented something, and it doesn't always go perfectly, but we've created a schedule for ourselves. And Jordan has been trying to get me to wake up early Oh my gosh, Jordan, for how many years have you been trying
Yeah,
to?
it's been a number of years, so you'll find out about me and Lindsay, more background and more story here. So I am a very much as soon as I wake up, I'm like, let's go. Like, I don't need, the extra 15 minutes by hitting the snooze or anything. Like, as soon as my eyes wake up and I have a thought, like, I'm ready to hit the ground running. And Lindsay is kind of the opposite. She would much rather hit the snooze a few times.
Yeah, I tend to like to stay up a little bit later, and I like to sleep in. If I would be very, very happy if I could sleep in until 7:30, 8 o'clock every day, but we actually just recently had a time change, and it's been easier now. So, it's like we're getting up at 5:30, and really it's only 6:30 in my mind. So, it's been something that's been more doable, but I will have to admit, you were right. Like, I do like getting up early. I really do. We get up, we do our devotions, we work out, sometimes the other way around. And then we're greeted by our kids pretty much as soon as we're done with both of those. And by, 7:15, we're making them breakfast. We're all hanging out. We're drinking our coffee or our pre-workout or protein shake, whatever we've got going on for the morning. But, we've realized that we really have to create a schedule, because the days that our son is not at his homeschool program, because we do a hybrid homeschool program, those days we have to school him. And so, basically during breakfast or as soon as breakfast is over, we're actually doing school with him. And, that takes a good hour and a half or so. And then sometimes we take a break, and then we have another hour later on. But we're starting work by no later than 10 o'clock. A lot of times it is earlier than that, but it's been really helpful having that little routine down in the morning so that we can get going and get to work.
Yeah, 10:30 is the goal, or 10's the goal. Sometimes it spills to 10:30 or 11, or sometimes a little bit later. But the biggest thing in all of that is, I think, just being, like Lindsay said, being disciplined, being on top of your schedule and prioritizing your time. That's something that we've really tried to focus on, especially in the short term here in the last few months, of really like, what am I working on today? What's going to actually move the needle and push it a little bit farther than it did yesterday. So with that, let's jump into really just like short-term goals. So we want to know your guys' short-term goals. What are you guys shooting for? So realize when we say short-term goals, I'm talking, I guess, really like under a year in my mind. It's something that's pretty attainable. It's something that you want to strive for. It's going to push you a little bit. You don't want it to just be like, well, I woke up and I answered emails today. That's not a good short-term goal if it's going to happen.
That's a necessity.
Yeah, you need to create something that's going to push you a little bit further than what you normally would try to achieve. So in creating those short-term goals, think through some of your dreams. Think through some of the things that you really want to achieve, and almost like, as we like to do, kind of like reverse engineer it. So think through the short-term goal that you want to happen in under a year, and then create some action steps off of that goal, and realize like, okay, hey, in order to achieve this, I have to accomplish X, Y, and Z to get me on the right trajectory, or maybe if it's a financial goal, to stay on pace to hit that number, or different things like that.
Yeah, or even if it's, let's say, email marketing. If you're listening and you don't have an email marketing list, that would be your first step. It is such a tool that is way underutilized. And if you're a business, you need to heavily rely on your email marketing list. And you guys will hear us talk about this a lot, because when you're on Facebook and Instagram and other social media platforms, that is borrowed space. They could take Facebook away, Instagram away in a matter of seconds, and you would never have your following back ever again. So that's where the email marketing comes into play. So for example, if your goal is to make $1,000 a month with an email marketing list, like Jordan's saying, reverse engineer it. You got to start with an email marketing list, and you got to start there so that you can continue to grow that list, so that you can continue and start to generate income for your business. And a lot of times too, what you can do with your goals is, after you're writing all of these out, you need to kind of look at the one that's probably going to be the quickest to accomplish, and it's able to generate you the most income right away. So in short-term goals, a lot of those are going to be income generating, fairly quickly, but try to find the one that is going to generate the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time and knock that one out first. I would kind of define a short-term goal, something that can be done within a month or even a couple of months. Okay, more of my long-term definition, I would say, would be around the 1 year mark. Jordan and I think a little bit differently with that, but I'm also a right here, right now type of girl. We just came up with a brand new idea today, and I literally looked at Jordan and I'm like, we're implementing this today. And so that happens with us sometimes.
It happens with you.
It happens with me because, like I said, my goals are always quick and straight to the point, and I want them done quickly, where Jordan tends to think about it a little bit longer. He's like, well, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do to make this happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to do it. So, you have to really take a step back and look at those goals and, see what's going to be able to be done in the quickest amount of time that's going to generate you a profit.
Yeah. And also a big thing with your short-term goals, I think specifically, is to have some accountability. So find somebody that knows you, maybe knows your business, that you can go deep with, that's not just going to, give you a pat on the back and say, oh, it's okay, like you came close, like someone that's really going to push you, and someone that's really going to make sure that you're staying on track for those goals and that they're going to check in periodically.
Yeah, and one thing that we started doing because, like Jordan said, like we see the next shiny object and we're like, oh, we need to do that. And then we forget about our original plan because we get so excited. And so one thing that we've started doing, if you're anything like us, if it's not on our calendar, it doesn't happen. And so we've literally started blocking off chunks in our schedule where we're like, hey, we're going to do this podcast at this time. Hey, we're going to shoot at this time. Hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we're literally putting it in our schedule so that when that time of the day comes, it's a done deal. Like we're dropping everything that we're doing and we're doing the thing that is on our schedule so that we can accomplish what we need to accomplish. And the other thing that we are actually doing and have done is put a deadline on it. So if you have it written down on a piece of paper or on your computer, you can actually write a date next to it. I'm going to be done with this project by this date. Because if it's there, it's written down, it's in your brain, it's in your memory, and that's kind of a little bit of accountability too. So if you're the type of person that can hold yourself accountable and you don't need someone else, then write dates down, put it in your calendar, you're good to go. If you need community or you need someone to push you, then find that person that's going to push you and make sure that they are holding you accountable.
Wow, can I just say that there's been nothing better come out of your mouth in a long time as far as like structure and organization and like, hey, we're going to do this to accomplish this kind of thing.
I'm
That's
not
awesome.
Structured.
But yeah.
I think I'm going on like 2 weeks of being structured.
Yeah.
Are you loving this new life of yours?
I loved you before. It's not that I didn't love you before.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm loving this version of me.
But
it feels good. It feels good to be structured. It feels good to get things done.
Yeah.
And before, it's hard because
you just bounce around and then you feel like at the end of the day you feel defeated that I didn't get anything done today because you don't have any measurable action steps. But now transitioning into long-term goals, which I would consider to be at least a year to 5, I would say. It just depends. But in my opinion, these are going to be the tougher goals to come up with and to measure, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, maybe we're working totally by ourselves and we're a solo entrepreneur, or maybe you only have a team of maybe 2 or 3 other people. So a lot of times it's very tight knit, at least starting out as an entrepreneur, and it's hard to come up with these long-term goals because you find yourself in the weeds a lot of times still. You find yourself in the day-to-day where you're just trying to just keep your head above water sometimes, quite frankly. But in doing so, you need to sometimes take a deep breath and take a deep dive and figure out, okay, hey, where exactly is my business going? Sometimes it's hard to see just past the next week, but looking really forward to, okay, hey, what does next year look like? What does the following year look like? Hey, where is my business going? What do we want to do? Do we want to grow as a team? Do I want to try and go to a different location? Like, all of those things are longer term goals. And when you're trapped in the weeds, it's sometimes hard to see and to focus on those long-term goals.
Yeah, and long-term goals give you clarity. So if you have a desire, like Jordan said, to have your own building, what are the short-term goals that you need to accomplish in the meantime to get to your long-term goal? So your long-term goals are like, they can be pie in the sky, like the best case scenario, and then you set the short-term goals to get to where you want to be. So that helps give you clarity, and it's also gives you like kind of some hope and some encouragement to get to where you want to be. So you have to figure out what those long-term goals are, because you don't want to work aimlessly towards your long-term goals. You want to work towards your long-term goals with intentionality, with focus, and every single day you're chipping away at your long-term goal with some of your short-term goals to move the needle and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's great though. A lot of times we maybe create short-term goals or we create long-term goals, and we almost treat them, I think, almost as like two totally separate things. And that's a great point, Lindsay, that a lot of times our short-term goals should really build up to our long-term goals, and we should have, hey, maybe if I accomplish these 3 short-term goals, it's going to get me a whole lot closer, or maybe even accomplish my long-term goal. So that can be huge when you set your short-term goals to essentially line you up to get you in a better place, or to potentially accomplish your long-term goal.
Yeah, because long-term goals require time, and if you're like us, we don't have a whole lot of time. So it's like your short-term goals have to align with your long-term goals in order for you to get to where you want to be. If your short-term goals have nothing to do with your long-term goals, you're probably not really going to reach your long-term goals very quickly or at all. Like, you have to make sure that your vision is very clear on where you're going, what you're doing, and what you're trying to accomplish, so that both of those align. Because again, if you're just wandering around aimlessly, like, you're maybe accomplishing 100 of your short-term goals, but it's not even touching your long-term goals. So they have to coincide, and those two worlds kind of have to collide together. I personally would say that, like, your short-term goals, because obviously if you're a business owner, you wear a lot of hats, like Jordan said. So one thing that you guys need to make sure that we're doing all together is that, we're setting aside time to work on those short-term projects to get to that long-term goal. So set aside an hour or 2 a day to get to the long-term goal. Now, obviously, you can go hardcore and work at it for 5 or 6 hours a day. It just depends on what type of time you want to devote. And whatever that time is it's going to take you a little bit longer to get to your goals. If you're only doing an hour a day, if you're doing it for 5 hours a day, obviously you're going to hit that long-term goal a lot faster. So it just depends on how hardcore you want to be, how much time you have, what your personal life looks like. If you're really involved in the business and you're doing services, you have less time to do those things. But the most important thing, when you lay your head down every single night, you have to be able to look back at the day and say, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I got done what I wanted to get done. I moved the needle. I did as best I could. Tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to do it again. And we're just going to keep moving towards that long-term goal.
Yeah. You have to continue to push on. And I think both of us as former athletes sometimes can be a little bit too hard on ourselves, I think, when we don't make the goal that we set out to achieve. And that's okay. It's okay to be hard on yourself, but I would say don't sulk in your misery of it and continue to just think, oh man, I should have done that. I could have done this. I should have done that. The only thing that matters is pushing forward. And sometimes as entrepreneurs or business owners, we are our own worst critic. No one else is essentially challenging us like we are, right? So no one else is pushing us to that other level, and no one really knows that we're not accomplishing what we set out to accomplish besides ourselves. Everybody else only sees what we put out there, or what the world sees, or social media, things like that. So sometimes not everybody's as hard on your business as you are, which can be a good thing, but don't take it to the extreme and make it a negative.
Yeah, and like Jordan said, we all have bad days. I mean, we have a lot less bad days than I think we used to. I don't even want to say they're bad days. They're just challenging days. They were
Right.
days where there were obstacles that for whatever reason we just couldn't jump the obstacle or go around the obstacle that particular day. You'll have days that are defeating and that aren't great, but don't let that one day turn into 5 bad days or 7 bad days or 3 days here, 2 days good, 3 days bad. Like they need to be very intermittent and just very here and there. And if you continue to let those things rule over your progress to get to where you want to be, then you really need to find some type of a coach or a mentor that can hold you accountable to your dreams. So just make sure that you guys are moving forward, continue to move forward. Don't be too hard on yourselves. Thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. As we said before, we want to hear your short-term and your long-term goals. So send them over to us. If you need some accountability, we are there to help you. And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.